Heyo, OmniDogs and OmniKittens. It's OmniDog here with another overview of a omnibus that I think you'll be interested in. Those of you of a certain age anyway, or those of you with a certain taste for Silver Age. And this is the Silver Age Batman and Superman World's Finest Omnibus Volume 2. Now, why is this book important? Silver Age. We were getting more and more Silver Age books, which is great because that means we're getting closer and closer to the Bronze Age, which is what a lot of you folks out there really care about, and I don't blame you. Silver Age is what I really care about. I can't wait till we get Silver Age Batman and Superman, but I get it. I want to get Bronze Age as badly as a lot of you guys do. So let's take a look at what's going on in here. And we have, this is just going to be a plain black thing, big deal. DC did something unusual. They actually gave us a table of contents, and it's a very good one. Gives who the cover art's by, the writer, the penciler, and the inkler. The penciler and the inker. And a lot of times the penciler is going to be Curt Swan, which is great. A lot of times the penciler will be Jim Mooney, who, if you are a Silver Age fan, you recognize him as the artist on a lot of early Supergirl titles. He's got a very light kind of style. I've always liked Jim Mooney's stuff, so that's a bonus that he's in here. That Jim Mooney and Curt Swan are in here. Penciler Dick Sprang, that's a familiar Batman artist. Curt Swan is, and the writers are all over the place. Edmund Hamilton, Bill Finger, Jerry Coleman, Bill Finger, Edmund Hamilton. So before we get into this, first of all, let's be honest. These are not going to be The Watchmen or Dark Knight Returns or Hickman's Fantastic Four or anything like that. These were written for, 10-year-old kids pretty much back in, now this starts out 10 cents, but it ends up with 12 cents comics. Let's see what the dates are real quick. That these were, goes from 61 through 66. So this is right in my wheelhouse of when I started collecting. I started collecting about 65, 66 when comic books were 12 cents. And they're honest about it. I mean, they won't come right out and say it, but they were quoted as saying, these books are for 8-year-olds to read while they're going to the bathroom. And so this is the mindset of DC back then, and why Marvel was able to come in and write a little more mature titles and steal market share for them. That doesn't mean these aren't fun comics, because they are. They're goofy, but they're fun. And so not everything has to be deep and serious. It can still be fun and goofy. And Luther and the original Batwoman can be in these books and can still be fun. You've got Robin as, the little, not the little kid, but the 12-year-old boy that he was. And, bad jokes and alien creatures. This is a famous one. The creature that was exchanged for Superman. This is a famous cover. And so, do these stories make sense? In a science fiction-y, goofball way, yeah. And I would say if you're interested in this book, go into it with the idea that it's just going to be fun. It's just lighthearted. Take your mind off it. What do you want to do? Do you want to go and read the newspaper these days? You really want to read the front page? Or would you rather read World's Finest, where Superman's battling 3 faceless creatures and Batman can't do a thing about it? Or Batman, look, Mirror Batman. I would much rather read this than the front page or listen to the news these days. So no, these things don't make a whole lot of sense, but I mean, it's comic books. This is what the comic industry was built on. Fun, goofy things. You can see that 12 cents, they put it in really big because it was an extra 2 pennies. You better have your extra 2 pennies with you. You weren't going to get the comic book because they were a dime since 1938. So I would encourage you to give these books a try and just relax and enjoy the goofiness that comes with these books. And here we have Mixus Pitlick with Batmite, the two imps. Let's see what this cover is. The incredible team of Batmite and Mr. Mixus Pitlick. And no people say that name the same. I'm sure you say it differently than I do. But, I mean, come on. Mr. Mixus Pitlick and Batmite? That is fun. So they're in there scheming and goofing around. And you get various kinds of artwork. Very colorful. Very nice colors. They've done a good job on these really nice glossy pages. And of course, Luthor is there all the time. The negative Superman. Now that's a story I want to read. As a matter of fact, after this video is over, I'm going to read it. The power that transformed Batman. I have no idea what power that was. But it looks crazy. These covers are just great. Oh, I remember this. I do remember this cover. I had this as a kid, but I think I read the heck out of it and beat it all up. The Menace of the Future Man. Here's Lois. What's she up to? The Silver Age, when Lois was always trying to prove Clark was Superman, had a crush on Superman, and could never get Superman to marry her. Those were simpler times. All we had to worry about were things like civil rights and the Vietnam War. I guess things weren't that simple. Oh, I remember this cover too. When Luthor was working Superman like a puppet. So yeah, this mirrors what a lot of Superman and a lot of Batman comics were at the time, because they had kind of exhausted all ideas on Earth, that they went off planet into science fiction. So a lot of it was science fiction comics for Batman and Superman in this time period, which is why it was such a big deal. And I say this a lot, in '68 when Neil Adams came and drew the way he did, and then when Dennis O'Neil came and drew and wrote Batman the way he wrote him, because they were always off in space getting captured by... Oh, I had this comic. Is this the Clayface one? Yeah, this was a great one. Because that's... These goofy comics, science fiction-y, off-world aliens, that's what Batman and Superman and World's Finest were for like 8 years. Always off-world. And then you get somebody like Neil Adams coming in, drawing almost lifelike superheroes and people, and then writers like Dennis O'Neil creating situations and characters that were lifelike and interesting, and boom, you've got a completely new kind of situation on your hands, where comics become interesting again. Of course, what broke that up was the god-awful Batman. You guys might like it, but I liked it as an 8-year-old, but I look back on it now as a terrible time for comics, Batman 66, with the Grasshopper Gang, and I've long been critical of that time period with these terrible, terrible villains like the Joker and things like that. He wasn't terrible, but I mean in the TV show it was terrible. And that's how a lot of people knew Batman, was through that awful show. What's going on here? Batman and Superman, my telepathic powers reveal you're secretly Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. Let me join you as a third partner, or I'll expose you both. Now see, this interested me as a kid. A multi-costume, multi-powered guy, the composite Superman, that excited me as a kid. So you had Space Aliens, Batman 66, and then you had Neil Adams. So that's exactly, it was kind of a perfect storm that set up Neil Adams. So I urge you to give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. And we all need a little bit more fun in our lives. Comic books are supposed to be fun, remember. We're supposed to just relax, sit down with our favorite beverage, take a load off, and lose ourselves in the wonderful world of comic books. Oh wait, I remember this comic book. Nightman. Oh, and there's the Super Sons. Yeah, I remember this one. Okay, so that pretty much shows us the world's finest Silver Age, which is great. We're getting closer and closer to the Bronze Age, and that is a wonderful thing. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I appreciate if everybody would give me a like, or you could subscribe. Please feel free to leave a comment. I always respond to comments. Leave some ideas if you want on overview books, or ideas of books you want me to review, or interesting subjects you want me to tackle. Feel free. I'm open to all suggestions. I appreciate it. So thank you very much, and peace and love, peace and love.